Hello everybody, this is Dave and I'm going to give you a rundown of one of my pedal boards that I've had for a very long time, and I'm actually going to condense it and use a lot of the pedals that are already on this existing board onto a new board, a smaller board, just to make it even smaller for some smaller stages. And I'm going to show you what I have to start with, what I've been using, and how I'm going to cram all of that onto the new board. So first off, the board that I'm using is actually one of my first purchases on eBay, I believe, probably in the late 90s. It's made by Pedalboards.com, and they were one of the first custom pedalboard makers on the internet back in the late 90s. So I got this one off of eBay, and it's served me well for many years. And I'm still going to use this board, but I am going to steal a few pedals off of it and replace them as necessary. And I'll show you how I'm going to do that. But first, I'm going to run through all these pedals just to show you what I have on here now, and then I'll show you what I'm going to keep and what I'm going to replace on the new board. So my signal is pretty straightforward. I'll either come from that wireless there's a line 6, it's an older wireless, and that goes into the wah-wah. And right now I'm just plugged directly into the wah-wah with my Spectraflex cable. And this wah-wah is an older Crybaby Mr. Super wah, which is really cool because it's a volume pedal. And when it's in the non-wah position, and when you step on it, then it's got a little bit of a dirty pot. Like I said, it's kind of an older model. I wish they would release that. So Dunlop, if you're listening, that was a great invention there, the Mr. Super. Oh, and by the way, I'm using my 1977 Les Paul Custom with all the original pickups. From the wah, I'm going into my tuner, which is one of the first Boss chromatic tuners, and then into the MXR Phase 90, the EVH Phase 90. And then comes this pedal. I can't say enough good stuff about this pedal. This is a Carl Martin Plexitone, the original version, not the single channel, although I do have that too on my other board. But this Carl Martin the Plexitone pedal rather, I could do an entire gig just on this pedal because it has everything I would need, like bare bones necessities. It's got a drive, which is a set low for a lower gain drive. And then it's got a heavier drive when you step on the select button. And on top of that, it's got a boost. So you could really crank up the solos when you need to. And, you know, just like any gain pedal, it gets a little noisy in certain circumstances, especially depending on the venue and the lighting system and whatever else they have in their ancient wiring in the building. So I have, at the end of this row here, a decimator by ISP, and that completely kills all the sound, all the noise that interferes with the sound, and it doesn't really cut off the tone much. Just got to find that sweet spot where to set it, and then that's it. A lot of times I don't use it, especially on the lower gain setting. Don't really need to, but If I need to crank up that high gain and get rid of the noise, there it is. On this next row, I've got a Keeley modded Boss tremolo pedal, which is great. It's one of my favorite trem pedals. And I like the mod that they did on it because it also includes a volume boost on it, because a lot of times with tremolo you lose a little bit of the overall gain and it can get lost. So that's very helpful. After that, I've got a TWA Flyboy chorus, which does your basic chorusing. The Flyboys are great because I got them on a bunch of different rigs, a lot of even smaller pedal boards that I have, and they're compact, they sound great, they're reliable. So I may keep this one on this board if I have room on the other board for something else, because like I said, I am going to continue to use this board once I replace a few things, but we'll see which chorus makes it to the new board. But love this chorus, it's great. And then I love this delay pedal too. It's the Giga Delay by Boss. It's the DD I think it's the DD20, yeah. And I have a couple different settings. The first, it's got 4 presets, and the first one I have kind of a, it's a dual delay, kind of an edge type thing, you know. And the next one I have is a little bit of a slapback. Then I have a longer delay that I use for, like, you know, solos. So I like that, and then it's got a longer delay. And then almost as like a 5th preset, I can use the manual setting, and I have it set to this really crazy effect. I think it's called the twist, and it goes like this. Okay, really out of control. Very useful in probably any song I can squeeze it in. But no, it's a cool effect. That pedal, the DD20, is going to make it to the new board. Unless I can find something else compact with a smaller footprint with just as many presets. So I like having the flexibility of the 4 preset delay, which is nice. So now let me show you what I'm going to replace everything with. Okay, so first up, the wah. I'm going to replace the wah. Well, let me show you what the what board it's going on. It's going to go on this Pedaltrain Jr. And it's the first version, the Pedaltrain Jr. And I already have the Pedal Power 2 Plus mounted underneath. And the first pedal that's going on there is going to be the wah. And I'm going to replace the Mr. Super. It's going to stay on this board. And I'm going to replace it with the new Crybaby Mini Wah. And this thing sounds great. I've already used it on a couple of gigs. And that's going to go here. First in the chain. Next up is the tuner. And I'm going to replace the tuner with a Polytune Mini. Now I could also use a clip-on tuner. Those are great. But I do like having that mute, so I can unplug my guitar and stuff like that. Or if I break a string, I don't have to go back and hit the standby on the amp or unplug it from the amp, and I could just step on this and then change it. So that's going to go right next to the tuner, right next to the wah. Then after that, I'm actually going to replace, and these are some new pedals here, I'm going to replace the Phase 90, the EVH Phase 90. That's going to stay on this board, and I'm going to replace it with the new MXR Phase 95 Mini. So that's going to take the new place of the phasing. I'm going to keep the Plexitone. That's going to come off this board and move over here, and if I need to get a new one, I'll replace that Plexitone. I don't mind buying another one of those just to have on another board. Very useful. For noise cancellation, instead of the decimator, I've got a Rocktron Hush that I'm going to be using, and it's a mini pedal also. So that's going to take care of extra noise from the Plexitone. I'm not going to use a wireless on this rig because usually if I'm using a smaller pedal board, it means that I don't have a lot of stage room anyway, so I'm not going to be running around. So I'm just going to keep the wireless on this board. I'm going to keep the trem, because like I said, I love that trem. I'm going to see how much room I have. I'm either going to use this chorus here or leave it on this board, or I'm going to use my CE5, the older Boss chorus pedal, chorus ensemble. I like this pedal. I don't do a lot of chorusing, but when I do and I want that total 80s sound, I'm going to use one of those two choruses. I'm going to keep the Giga Delay, and since I have one more spot that tap open for power from the wireless that's not going to be used, I actually went and I got myself a Wampler Mini Ego compressor, which is going to be great for some of the country stuff that my band is doing. And I really like the sound of a compressor on single coil guitars, especially on a clean sound or semi-dirty sound. Sounds great, evens out the volume too if you have a guitar with humbucker in the bridge and two single coils. It just evens everything out. So also to add on to the new Pedaltrain, I got some risers here that I'm going to assemble and put on so I can reach the pedals in the top row. So let's get started. I'm going to put this thing together. Okay, so here it is, the final product, all wired up and ready for my gig tonight. So first up we have the mini wah. Works great, especially if you have feet small as mine. Then we have the Polytune Mini, which will also read all 6 strings at once. And yes, an E-flat tuning. The Ego compressor by Wampler, which sounds really cool. And I'm using a Telecaster now instead of my Les Paul, so you can really hear that twang. And then we have the Phase 95, which I set to the 95. It's got a 95 or a 90 or a 45's position. I set it to the Phase 90 position, and it also has a script button, but I kept that off because that's actually how I have my EVH phaser, also with the script off. And I've got my Plexitone, which fits perfectly. And yeah, I still have the Ego compressor on, which I like. And then we got the higher gain. And there's that noise, but let's kill it with the hush. Not quite as effective as my decimator, but it get the job done in most cases. And of course, compression adds some noise too. So most times with a higher gain setting, I won't use the compressor. So there, it kills it pretty good. Next up is the tremolo. Let's get a cleaner sound here. Compressor back on. Chorus. And my favorite delay. There's that slap back sound that I was talking about before with Ego and Little Dirt. Favorite lead delay with some Phase 90. So thank you very much for watching. If this video does sort of well, or even if it doesn't, quite honestly, I'll probably do another one in the next board that I build or rebuild, as the case may be, as us guitar players are always constantly tweaking, constantly adjusting, modifying, trying to make better in pursuit of the ultimate tone. Thanks again for watching. See you soon.